Today we have on the 23-year-old cold calling phenom, direct-to-seller marketing wizard, Cole Rude Johnson.
Yes, if you guys are interested in wholesaling, taking down properties direct to seller, running VAs, and cold callers, you need to listen to this interview, and here we go.
So we're here with Cole. Cole, thanks for coming on, man. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me on, fellas. It's
Thanks,
nice
dude.
to be in.
Good to have you
in the sun. I was looking on the drive here today. There's actually a mountain with snow, which is surprising.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's nice here. We're like t-shirts, light sweatshirt, sun,
It's perfect.
snow.
Yeah. I moved to San Diego a year ago, and it's the same. Year round, I can wear a sweatshirt if I want, be on the beach if I want. It's amazing.
How often do you come to Vegas?
I haven't been here since I was playing AAU basketball, which is, I was going to say high school, was only like 5 years ago.
How long ago really was that? So
Yeah,
before we go too far, why don't we tell people a little bit about you? Because that is a good point. Like you're 23, right? Doing all that you're doing at 23. So why don't you give them a quick rundown of where you started, the business that you're currently operating, and everything that you have going on.
Yeah, so I went down to a school in Los Angeles when I was a big basketball player, so to play basketball, and I hated it. I remember I was sitting in my business management class, and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm ever going to do with this. And so I left, dropped out of school. I did running start in high school, so I had 2 years done of college.
Oh, sweet.
So I was like, I'm going to take 2 years and go try something else. If I want to come back, I'm on pace with my peers still if I come back. So that helped me a lot, just exploring the entrepreneurial side. And I got home, and my family has a legacy in real estate. My great-grandma started the first brokerage in Seattle. Oh, wow. My grandma was an agent and a builder. I owned a bunch of commercial buildings in Seattle. My mom was an agent. My brother's an agent. And so that was my first thing. I was like, I want to try to be an agent. Got licensed at 18. Did the normal hustle, the open houses.
Oh, yeah.
Called the expired, sat in my Keller Williams little cubicle and
All the basics,
banged
right?
on the phone. Yeah. All the basics. And finally I got to a point where, like, even if I got good at this, I don't want to be a real estate agent. I didn't like the driving around and the open houses and being so dependent on what a client wanted me to do. And it didn't fit my skill set, especially at 18. You know, Seattle, the average sale price is $900,000 in King County. So, who wants the 18-year-old to sell their $900,000 house? So I was
That
like,
could be
Hard to break into that market.
this isn't going to work. I was kind of living in La La Land. So then I hung my I hung my license at a different brokerage called Caliber, which, you know, kind of reminds me a lot of how you guys have it set up, where you have your off-market team, your retail team, and they were going after foreclosures, and they were doing something called wholesaling. And I was like, what is that? And he kind of told me, explained the process, and I saw A to Z. Okay, they had these nights where they brought their buyers in, and they wanted to go to the auction, and they kind of pre-sell them to their buyers. So they're doing stuff differently than how, you know, in 2022 people consider wholesaling. But it got me interested because I was like, you can scale that pretty quickly. So at that point, I went to an Applebee's one night with a guy I knew from high school, Paul, and who was like trying to get into some entrepreneurial stuff too. And I'm like, there's kids on Instagram making $40,000 here and there with this. I think that's how a lot of people get into it. Probably find you guys, right? They see, you know, a check or a flip, or they see you guys on Instagram.
Big money.
And that's why, like, I also am a proponent of posting that stuff, even though it comes across kind of douchey to a lot of people. I post that stuff because that's what got me to where I am now, seeing that, knowing it's possible. So I kind of backtracked. But at Applebee's, eating the endless wings, and, you know,
2 for $20,
2
baby.
for $20. We were getting after it. Probably my last $20 at the time.
Yeah.
And so we decided, like, we're going to try this thing. So I went to my title company that I knew I was already an agent, so I knew a title company, got a free list of absentees. And then we were in my parents' attic for 6 months. Every day we had a Google sheet of all these people.
Just you and this friend?
Me and one friend.
Okay.
Skip traced them on white people. Oh, sorry, white pages. Skip traces them.
We weren't racial back then. We're not now. So white pages.
We could possibly cut that out, but we might want to keep it. I don't know.
Skip traced them on white pages, one by one, and which also sucks. And sat there, and we just switched off. We'd highlight the good leads green, the maybes yellow, and the bads red. And we'd be in there 4 hours a day, cold calling up.
And this was like also no technology. You literally had Google Sheet and your cell phone.
That was it.
That was it, right?
Yeah, this is 4 years ago. I was 18. I'm 20.
Yeah, you say that like it's
So who were you
100 years
watching
ago.
at that time to educate you? You know, was it this brokerage that was educating you solely in it, or did you start watching, you know, other people on YouTube or on Instagram that we're doing it at a higher level, such as like the Bigger Pockets guys I know you know well. And when did you get intertwined with them?
Yeah, for like the actual concept, I definitely watched the Bigger Pockets. Max Maxwell was kind of just starting his education at the time, so a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
I got on a call with Cody Sperber's team, and like I did all the normal stuff. But finally, it was just honestly, Carlos and Sal in Arizona, who I flew down there with, and they give us more tactical. Because like I know you guys have a group now too. Like it's so easy. You can get inspired on Instagram. You can find guys who will show you the concept.
Sure.
But especially, I think it's market dependent too. And then they come to guys like you, and it's more tactical. Here's how you actually analyze a property. Here's how you actually go out and find it. Come, talk to us. We actually do it, and that makes it more real.
A little bit more transparent.
More real. It feels more, they're in their, you guys are in their market. It makes it feel like it's something they can do.
Yeah.
So that's what finally made me feel like, oh, we can actually do this. We were already 6 months in of cold calling. And then finally we got our first deal. It was in Seattle. It shouldn't have been a deal. It was a house that was retail value. We brought some builder in. We're like, if you build up 4 stories and you build a sky bridge across to the garage and turn it into an ADU, you might sell it for $2 million. We got it for like $850. So we had it for $850, sold it to him for $955. So $105,000 was our first deal.
Sweet.
And then I was like, I was 18 and a half, 19. I was like,
That's a lot of money in the pocket.
I was like, do I retire? What do I do? And thankfully, I had enough people around me that were like, you have 2 options. You can start buying. You can buy the car. You can buy a watch. You're 19. You don't need
splurge a little bit.
You can splurge a little bit.
Yeah.
You can show people that you've figured it out, which is you want to do that, right? But I didn't. Right away we went and signed an office lease after one deal, 4-year personally guaranteed office lease for $5,000 a month, which we just completed that.
You've had that.
We moved out as we speak. We have U-Hauls at our office in Washington moving stuff out.
Yeah, we're talking like 18 was a long time ago. We're talking just a couple
4 years
ago. 4 years ago. But
yeah.
like that. Looking back, like I was like, I don't even know how the hell we survived 4 years through $5,000 a month of just an office lease. And that kind of shows too, is like, you kind of have to make leaps, especially in any entrepreneurial thing, but especially real estate, because you're not going to know it all. You're not going to know before your first flip. That's where you learn the stuff in your first flip, no matter how much education you get. You learn the stuff during your first wholesale deal. It's by doing. So that was my example of that, is one deal, sign an office lease and figure it out. And that's been the story for me the past 4 years, is take a big leap and figure it out. So then we took some of that 105 as well and paid more people and learned how to market better, learned what CRM to use, got more in the nitty gritty of technicality of how do we do we start building a machine, right? Yeah. And then my now business partner, Mike Gary, who's amazing, he leads our sales team. He was our first hire. So right after our first office, we're probably 3 deals in at this point. So we did 105, a 6, and a 10 within a 6 months.
6 months not felt like anything.
What was that?
That 6 must have not felt
no,
like anything.
I was like
a baby.
No, again, I look back now, I was like, it's a check's a check. It keeps momentum. It keeps the lights on, keeps momentum going.
Yeah.
So we got some more tactical coaching, hired Mike, and we all sat, and we had a big office, like 2,000 square feet. We all sat in one conference room with desks facing each other, just banging the phones, all of us. I didn't know what a transaction coordinator was. We didn't know anything. We were just doing it all. We were just talking to people. And then finally we'd almost go bankrupt. We'd get, luckily at the last minute, get a $40,000 deal. We'd hire someone else.
Alive.
We'd hire somene else, get really low on cash, somehow do another deal, and it was kind of just surviving.
Because you're not business planning right here. You're just calling sellers.
No, and that's the thing too. You have to be in business long enough and somehow survive for a couple of years to really learn how to actually operate a business.
True.
You can't learn it by anything else. That's why you don't make a ton of money the first couple of years, because you're learning how to actually hire and actually what stuff costs and what it really takes. So we learned that the hard way the first 2 years. We tried to go all over the country. We were doing deals in Missouri and Fresno and Sacramento. We were having months we were bringing in $200,000, but me and my partner would each take home $4,000.
Yeah.
And it was a headache, and it was 10-hour days, and I was like,
why so low? Everything was just going back into the business, or you just had to pay other people out?
We had 12 guys in our office. Yeah. We didn't pay, and we wouldn't have like a set payroll. We'd pay this guy this guy that, this guy that. Oh, you want this commission? Here you go. Office is $5,000. We were spending $50-$60,000 a month in marketing, just not tracking anything, just throwing stuff at the wall, which we learned a lot. But like, finally I got to a point where like, I would rather go work a job than make $4,000 a month for managing 15 people.
Felt like you were making a lot bad at the end of the day.
Yeah, on paper,
it gets thin.
I can make it look on my Instagram like we were making a lot at the time, but no, we weren't making a lot of money. So me and that partner split, and he's doing his own thing now. And Mike became my partner, and we really at that point we slowed everything down, pretty much shut it down for a couple months. We just learned and dialed in on, KPIs, dialed in on marketing, dialed in on cold calling. And then we really said, okay, we're going to focus on one marketing stream, cold calling. We're not going to hire. You're going to be the sales guy. And we're going to build this thing right. And then over the next 2 years, we just blew up.
Got a little organized now.
We got organized. Yeah, we knew but we just really, it came together with that. And
that's kind of how we were when we started. We had a couple flips, maybe 2 or 3, our very first few, and all that money went right back into it. Went right back into, okay, how do we get ourselves a space? How do we get ourselves set up? What do we need to do to turn this into something much bigger instead of going out and, buying a watch, buying a car, whatever.
It still goes that way. I mean,
it still goes. We still do a lot of that.
We grossed a couple $1 million, but how much do we put in our own pocket? It goes back into the business. It goes back into the streets, buying properties, trying to continue to grow and continue to advance. I mean, we're still not paying ourselves what we probably could if we didn't want to devote ourselves and our lives to the business and to the growth of the business.
And if you want to scale, I feel like you can get to a point where you can start taking a lot of money out of the business, or you can scale.
Yeah. Right.
There's those plateaus every couple of years. Right. You can decide, okay, do we want to get bigger, or do we want to start really is this our point we want to be at? And so we're not there either. We dump everything back into our business and our people, and trying new things and exploring here and losing money here. And that's 100% the same for us. It's the exact same process of. And that's a big thing too. I don't think it's any's right or wrong either. There's people that I want to make $300,000 a year. You can hire 3 VAs and you can do $300,000 a year, and you can live that.
And once you're there, you maintain that, and if you're happy with that, great.
Right. Exactly. But I think if you truly have that itch, that entrepreneurial itch, you're only happy building and creating stuff.
We keep moving the goalpost.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Exactly. Never satisfied.
We get to 25 flips a year. We get to X amount of dollars a year. Well, okay. Well, now
what's
next?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's exactly that, and I think an office is one of the best investments. Because being in a space, collaborating, talking every day, it just makes you want to do it.
I can't work from home.
No,
I just can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, we're here, if we're not here at the office Monday through Friday, we're out walking properties. That's it. We're either in the office or we're out in the field. Yeah. It's not work from home. It's not work remotely. Yeah. We grind here every day. So
and when you're in that, like, why do you really even need to pay yourself more than what you need to live? Because like, you're not even going to, it's not, you're in the office or you're driving properties or you're in the grind because you're trying to build. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing starting out is there's no right or wrong way to do it, but there's do you want to build a business or do you want to be a solopreneur? And both are okay. Mm-hmm. Like we have a guy who we've worked with. You guys probably know his name's Vlad. He's in Vegas.
I love Vlad.
Love that.
We've had Vlad on.
Yeah, he's in our one of our groups too. He's an awesome guy, super smart, and he's kind of I've talked to him a lot. He's kind of at that solopreneur level where he's kind of deciding. Do I make the jump? Do I hire people? Or do I keep just going to properties myself? And
we're pushing him to make the jump. We're pushing him to hire
money.
People.
I know he's making plenty of money.
That's the hardest. That's the hardest part, to take a step back.
Right.
And that's the hardest thing, right? And so I think he will make that jump.
We've been on Vlad for like 6 months now. Just please hire someone. Please hire someone. You're going to excel so much faster if you take that one step.
But again, he's 20. What is he, 21?
I think he's 21, 22 now.
And you're making $300,000-$400,000 a year because you're doing these deals. You're like, you get stuck in that place of, but then long term, if he wants to do other things, he's going to have to. So and he has that entrepreneur. Like that's the thing when you have that itch. The money doesn't. It's building and creating.
We tried to bring him in.
Yeah,
we tried to
reel him on.
To absorb him because he is very smart and he's got a great mind for it.
You can tell when he gets it, or not, and he gets it.
Yeah.
But he is a solopreneur. He wants to build and create his own business, which is totally commendable. So,
support him.
But we're partners now. We're partners now with your company called Magic. Tell everyone about that and how much you've expanded that and built that out.
Yeah. So as I was talking, kind of when I stopped my business 3 years ago and went with my new business partner, we decided we were going to go one marketing stream. So we went cold calling, and I learned everything about cold calling. And cold calling is really something you can't do part-time. It's not something like mail where you can just send it out and wait. It's its own business. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much stepped away and started building our own call center internally. Where I was managing agents. We were finding office space. We were testing out dialers, testing out lists, testing out DIDs, when to swap them, all the little things that come in. It's its own business. And then about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, my buddy Elliot, who I'd met, who also has a big business, he buys and flips up in Eastern Washington. He started using it. I probably had 10 guys using it, just kind of offhand, my buddies. And he comes to me, he's like, I think I could sell this thing to a lot of people. And I was like, okay, I wasn't really perfecting the operational side of it yet. I was just kind of like using it in house. We were doing like we do over $1 million every year on just cold calling revenue alone. Like it's been our backbone every year. And then Tucker Merrihew, who builds, he just moved to Florida, but he builds new construction. He's brought, D-League NBA teams to Portland. Like he's done it all. He's 45 now. He's really he's a CEO, like gets operations. So I did his podcast, and I was kind of explaining it to him. He's like, I think I can fill that hole you guys need of a CEO, of an operational, of really scaling this thing to where it needs to go. So he stepped in, took over the operation side. Elliot runs the wholesale side, and I run the actual agent data, making sure that's all going good side. And we just we're like, okay, let's see where this goes. And all of a sudden we had, 50 campaigns across our 2 centers, and it just blew up. And I still think cold calling is the best way, especially starting out. Like all the guys in our group, I know Vlad started with cold calling and stuff like that. It's the best way to get started because you can do it. I did it in my parents' attic. You can do it wherever. You can buy a list. You can hammer the phone, and you're going to get good at getting cussed out on the phone by people that you're trying to buy their house, and you just you start getting that callus, that real estate callus of getting told no, getting told no every single day, all day, and then once you get that first deal from cold calling, it's just the best feeling in the world.
It's all worth it.
And it's the tried and true, marketing stream that is never going to go away. It's just talking to people. TV changes, radio commercials came in and out, newspapers are gone. There's cold calling and talking to people on a phone is always going to be the tried and true way to hit the numbers and get the deals.
And there's 2 ways to do it with businesses like yours, or even when you're starting up. You can go build that yourself, or you can hire it out.
Right.
And honestly, if I had the choice again, I wouldn't build it all again. It sucked so bad trying to build a call. It's just one of the hardest things ever. So I would have hired it out. And it works. I mean, we were back in your sales room today, and they're on the phone talking to leads from it. So
how
good leads too.
How much more quickly can you get started when you hire it out?
Exactly. And we're kind of unique too with our call center, where we really we want to build companies with, we want to come in with you guys and watch you guys
make it work.
Take it, because you're going to hire more call. It's just going to make it just fun.
It's better for everyone.
And we want to come down here and be in the office and help out. So we're not really just we kind of cap our campaigns. We want to make sure people are actually doing what
and you can give enough.
We'd rather have you guys with 15 callers
than
have 5 companies with 3 callers that come and go. So that's kind of how we run it.
That's a good strategy. Yeah.
And we feel good about that.
Yeah. And that's Call Magic. That's Call Magic Leads. It's pretty easy to get in touch. We have a decently long waiting list because we want to be working with guys like you guys who are.
Well, even though you're selective, if people do want to find out, will you tell them where they can go?
Just find out? Callmagicleads.com.
Okay.
It's easy to submit. And
cool.
Spencer, who runs all our operations, will be in touch.
No promises. You're going to be on a long list, but at least you can go learn a little bit more.
They're going to keep hiring 10 callers a month. So.
Yeah. And you get, these guys personally helping you out, which are the experts with the systems and the data, and they do it themselves. They're in the trenches themselves doing the deals. So it's important as a customer to have people like you helping us and speaking with us and talking to us. You're not completely out of reach, which sometimes is frustrating when hiring a service-oriented company. Is the person who truly knows what they're doing is always out of reach. You're talking to just sales associates and reps all the time, and you can't get to the person who can truly answer that question. So it's always nice to have that.
Yeah, our goal with that company we want to build a couple companies that keep alive, because we have other parts of that company we're working on. We just want to build our clientele, people that are they're going to be in business long term, and we're going to be in business long term with them. As cold calling changes, it does every year. We're at the forefront of it too. We're on calls with lawyers every week and on calls with people who know how to optimize campaigns. So
that might be something to just kind of touch on real quick, because the landscape of cold calling does change, even in a few years span. Let's say 4 or 5 years when you've been doing this. I've seen things in that realm come and go. RVMs being a big one, texting always floating around. People are doing it, they're not doing it. They're always falling back onto cold calling. But what's changed? Where's it kind of going? Or where's it at today? Tell us a little bit about that.
So real estate marketing in general, it's cyclical. So you have mail, RVM, text messages, cold calling, all the different things you can do. It's one of those things where it's kind of funny. I was talking to Justin Silverio a while back, who owns Open Letter Marketing as well. And the way it goes is mail works super well. Say it works really well for 2 years.
Sure.
All of a sudden, the next 2 years, mail sucks. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but right now we can't get a deal from mail unless we spend 10, 15 grand. So it kind of rotates. So it's kind of just staying at the front of what's working. And for us, cold call is always worked. We've always gotten a 5
it's
to
the constant
5 to 7x return. So and that's what I tell people when they're getting started is you want that constant because you don't know when you're getting what cycle you're getting into. I mean, honestly, mail's too expensive when you're first starting out.
And you can't build a business off of inconsistency.
Exactly. So, but back to your question, cold calling has changed a lot. 3 years ago, you could get 4 leads a day per agent, per rep.
Okay.
Like clockwork. Right now, you're going to be 1 to 1.5, depending on the market.
Interesting.
So much lower. Why is that?
It's just all the regulations that have come out from these carriers. And I mean, like you guys probably get calls every day that already says
spam,
junk, or
potential spam
recommended, or
how do you fight that?
So there's things we do internally to constantly. So every single number that we're calling from, we monitor now internally in our internal database that checks, hourly against all these carriers. So we switch them out right away. That's one way we do it. And if you guys are watching this and you have your own, it's a system called Trust Call that you can use where you just upload, even if you're using CallRail to just call your sellers, you upload all your numbers there, and it gives you real-time daily updates on every single number.
So if like a number gets flagged, you'll know about that. You can use another one and get through.
It goes medium risk, high risk, and you just get them out and rotate them. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the best way to mitigate that. Otherwise, it's just more callers and getting. Honestly, it's just a matter of keeping fresh data and getting really trained callers. Otherwise, it's almost one of those things where it's expensive to do, and you don't want someone with if you go hire one VA in the Philippines, they're gonna have a rooster in their background. It's just you're gonna lose money. Right. So
a lot of people use VAs.
Yeah.
Exclusively.
I mean, it can work, but it becomes its own thing, and you get distracted from growing the parts of your business that need to grow. Your salespeople need to grow. You guys have a brokerage you need to focus on. You guys have everything you need to focus on. Where you're trying to build a cold call center, it's what it becomes. It's not feasible.
But with VAs, in that you're relying on somebody else that is so far away, how hard is that? And I've noticed even in we haven't been working together even that long, maybe a year since we've actually joined up. Even a VA approach has changed, even geographically, where these people are. Yeah, how do you manage that? Stay on the forefront of that, because I know a lot of people want to utilize them. Yeah, so it's like same thing as owning a business here. If your core employees were all working from home, there's a lot more micromanaging you have to do, right? So it's the same thing as we needed to get them all in an office. So that was step number 1: get an office lease, get them all in an office, and then get a manager there we really trust. And this is out there.
So you have an office across the world with a manager in it?
Yeah. So we at one point we've had a bunch. Right now we have a massive office space in Egypt that houses a lot of agents. I think it can fit 100 agents, as well as our manager. So we have 2 managers, and then we have quality assurance reps, and they're in there with the people are showing up to work. They're not calling from home.
Did you go out there to set this up?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of guys that have been hired by Verizon or Samsung or all these people that have their late at night call centers.
Oh, right. Customer support, all that.
It's kind of luck of the draw finding one right when they exit one of those companies that knows what they're doing.
Okay.
That's how we've done it.
So they've set those up across the world for large carriers and stuff, and then when they're free agents, essentially, you pick them up to set that up in a smaller scale for you.
And you find they're better there because they speak better English, they respond, they listen to direction better. What's so much better about geographical locations and the type of people that you're hiring?
Yeah, I mean, it also it depends on market. You can go to Alabama, and one person from one different country is going to work better than different markets. So it's one of those things too. So we found all around we're in Egypt for cold calling because the wages are lower, English speaking is higher. It's the culture is a little more similar to the U.S. and we're in the Philippines with our bigger operation. It's just the cultural difference is big. You want to be able to get on the phone and talk about football and soccer,
sure,
have a conversation. So that's been big. And then the work, Philippines had a great work ethic, but our guys in Egypt, our managers there are 30 and they're hungry and they want to grow it.
Got it.
And so they're dialed in. We're really dialed in there.
Sweet.
So that's the breakdown of that. But admin VAs, we still have them in the Philippines for my company.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how many deals are you doing on a yearly basis? You got all these callers, you got these call centers built out. How many are you taking down yourself?
Taking down ourselves as in flipping, we did probably 8-10 last year.
Okay.
We want to grow that, but as a company, we're transacting about 70 to 80 off-market properties a year.
That's great.
Okay. All wholesale deals.
Yeah, wholesale deals.
Nice.
So what makes it, if you're looking at, the 90 something and some of those are flips, what makes you decide, I want to flip that one?
Honestly, the way we look at it in Washington, because construction costs, timelines are longer, we do pretty cosmetic.
So if it's real easy,
If
we'll
it's
go in there
real,
and do it?
it's carpet, paint, more of a whole, not a
Wholesale, but
yeah.
along that line.
Like we buy a house and stuff happens, and we mess with the sewer sometimes, and like stuff happens. It's real estate. But yeah, we want to go for the easier ones, and we also put in the spreadsheet. Say if we wholesale this, it's 40. Flip it at 60, we're probably wholesaling. If we're wholesaling for 40 or flipping for 100, we're probably going to flip.
See, that's where most people draw the lines is usually on the numbers, and they'll take on maybe a headache project and replace a roof or do what they have to do if the numbers are there.
But then in retrospect, I bet you on a lot of those deals, I could ask you now, looking back, what would you have done? You'd be like, I probably would have taken
the
40.
money. Take the money and run.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of deals that, we had a choice of wholesaling or flipping. And if we can make more than double on the flip, that's what we'll take
it's
down.
usually a 2X line.
That's about where we are.
We have our construction pretty dialed, though. I mean, we do full gut rehab, so it's a little bit different model.
Lucky in Vegas to do.
Yeah.
If we were in Vegas, we'd be doing the same.
We're also dealing with one of the oldest homes we have is like 1990.
Yeah. No, we do 1904.
Right. We don't have the
Those are
100-year-old
headaches.
properties here. So
And Washington is one of those community areas where you can be in one neighborhood and you have so many different styles of houses. It's crazy.
That can be hard to find values and comps and stuff. Where out here it's like track neighborhoods, almost everything's the same.
I could probably give you a neighborhood and a square footage right now, and you're going to tell me what your rehab's going to be.
Get close.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Get very close.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a little different, but still, it's the same thing of about 2x.
Okay.
So, we talked a little bit about starting our academy, the Boeckle Brothers Academy, which is a networking group, and we know you're a part of a bunch of networking groups as well. On our call earlier today with our team, we talked about the power of a network. What has that done for you in your career, and where do you plan on going with your career?
Everything. I think relationship capital is how you scale a business at the end of the day, whether that's employees or people that you're learning from. Like we have a group as well, but the groups I'm in, like I went to the original Brandon Turner's original Maui Mastermind, and I met guys who are in my market who have taken my business to insane levels. So I've never spent $1 on coaching that I've regretted in my life, or getting in groups. I think it's probably the highest ROI on paper that we've ever had.
A lot of people are very afraid to spend dollars towards themselves and investing in themselves.
Well, they're not cheap either sometimes. I mean, these are groups
big
that
dollars.
could be $5,000 up to $25,000, but
rightfully so.
Right.
And the big thing it does is when you're paying, it makes you more motivated.
Sure.
It's like I don't want someone in our group that's not. You want people to be committed to themselves, and I really truly believe in real estate. If you want to help yourself, if you really want to help yourself, someone will find you and help you. But where I want to go with my career is we want to continue to grow and stabilize our core foundational business of off-market real estate. That's what we know. It's what we're good at. We have really good people now. It's a smooth running machine. We don't really need it. I could not check my phone for a week and stuff's going to get sold and run. And then we want to start, buying more stuff. Really is what we want to get after.
Buying and holding, buying and flipping.
Both. We want to grow our flipping business and also, figure out what asset class we want to go after and try to stick to and hold more stuff.
do you have a bunch of buy and hold or multifamily in a portfolio now, or not a heavy long term?
No, I've just been a quick turn kind of guy so far.
Yeah. You have a lot of time.
Yeah, and I haven't been able to get it's really been hard being young, getting financing too on stuff. So we've tried to go through the process of flipping and keeping a lot of properties, and it just never really panned out. But we're getting there now.
You think you could take this acquisition strategy and just point it at a whole nother property class?
We already do.
Yeah. And then just like if you wanted to own, 25 unit, 50 unit complexes, let's just point it there and find those.
It's a different sell. So like I look at, if you're marketing to 20 to 50 units, you got to approach these people differently because they know what they're doing. They've been in real estate most of the time. Mm-hmm. So we approach that. I kind of use my age to our benefit. We're like, oh, we're young guys. We're just getting started. Mm-hmm. I'd love for you to be part of our journey, starting and getting in multifamily.
The little goodwill from them. Yeah.
Exactly. You become, people want to, like when someone comes to me and they're where I was 5 years ago, I want to help them naturally.
Sure.
Yeah, so we want to educate. We want to give back. I
kind of pivot in that way. I kind of use my age. I'm kind of like, hey, you've done, look at all all you have.
It's a devious man.
I love that.
I'm just getting started. I would love for you to be part of my journey. I'd love to learn from you. So it's more of with those guys, it's more of a, hey, let me come learn from you. Yeah. Then let me buy your property at 80 cents on the dollar. Yep. And there's a kid in Washington, Cody Davis, who's 21, has like 80 units. That's how he markets. He calls these guys saying, hey, let me come to coffee with you. Mm-hmm. And he gets the coffee. He's like, I'm a young guy. I'm a hustler. They feel that. And they own or finance stuff for like insane.
Because they like him.
Because they like the person.
Yep.
And that's how that you kind of do. That's how we market for those stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
Kids are getting younger and richer. You know, it's crazy. I mean,
it's great.
It's a crazy world out there. So there's so much opportunity for young guys and girls alike. So it's crazy.
What is your guys's? Where do you want to take your off market side?
So I'd love to turn, and let's say like the near future goals of this. Mm-hmm. I'd love to really turn this into a machine that allows us to build a giant portfolio. Mm-hmm. Like I'd love to own hundreds of doors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I don't care if they're duplexes, fourplexes, single families, whatever. All that stuff is a first stage.
If you had to pick one, what would it be?
Honestly, the truth is I don't care right now what it is because I'm not going to keep those forever. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take all of those down, build that up, because then that allows you to get into another class. Mm-hmm. You almost it's hard to even get into the larger class if you don't have that up front, maybe first.
Say 25 single families and 1031 it into a 150 unit complex. So you turn 25 doors into 150 real quick. So
if the 1031's still around by then.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
But that's a goal. And I mean, we've created such a consistent deal flow with MLS, but we always want to raise that, and we have the capacity to raise that. We have the financing, we have the project management, and we have the wherewithal to do 150 to 200 deals a year. And I think that the off market side, running 5 to 8 deals a month, would be an extremely solid short term goal.
Mm-hmm. The flipping, though, getting onto that piece of it, I think that if you measure us like over the past 3 years when we've really started like pay attention to what we're flipping, at first it was like, what can I get my hands on? Does this make money? Okay, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. And it's still to that in some respects because we have all the resources to do it. It's just like plug and play. Mm-hmm. But now that we're measuring and we're like really going into higher end properties, more luxury properties, nicer custom designs and custom remodels, there's no reason why in a very short amount of time we can't be pulling down $1 million a flip. Mm-hmm. It might not be in this market, it might be in a different one, but like that is very realistic.
The luxury flip side.
Yeah. $1 million a house.
A lot of people stay away from that. I have my closest mentor in Seattle who I met at my mastermind, James Daynard. He crushed it. Like they're by far the number one volume flipper in Washington. Mm-hmm. They only them will buy stuff off MLS that's listed for 4, 5, 6 million.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
They have one right. He has one right now. He's about to buy on Lake Washington, which is like prime real estate. Then it's been on the market and no one will touch it. I was just at dinner with him before he flew down here. It was Monday night, and he was like, "I called the broker who I know," and I'm like, "This is him." He was like, "What's this going to go for?" And the guy's like, "I don't have one offer," and he's going to buy this thing for 4. It's not even need that much. He's going to put $600,000 to $1 million in for it and sell out for 8.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. You're also playing in a space where you're not really competing against anyone else. That's probably exactly what he's experiencing. You're going after properties that maybe a handful of people can afford or would want to even take the risk on.
And I'd say it's more comfort level than it is an affordability sense. Yeah. There's a lot of money out there right now with all these hard money lenders and even private money lenders. You could find the money to flip these things. It's more about taking the risk and being confident with your decisions.
I mean, on high end stuff, you can go and you can get 2 people and be like, "Hey, fund this deal. You each get 30%." I'll do it's because once you know how to run the construction and that stuff, that's really
right. That's where
really
you really want to know.
That's really where the meat is.
Yeah. And we've really built that and built that skill set. Yeah. So I don't really see a reason why we can't go flip 10 to 20 homes a year and pull $1 million.
It's just changing the goal. It's
yeah.
The life gets a lot easier doing 10 flips for $1 million each.
Yeah. And dialing in the marketing to attack those price points and then those neighborhoods harder as well, which is something that we need to work on doing.
I think the marketing would be a different sell for those people too.
We're getting close too.
Yeah.
We've closed some they're inching their way up there.
That's awesome.
That one we just did was pretty big, 600,000.
Yeah.
So
we did one last year, 400, or it closed earlier last year, and then 400 to 600. So now we're looking at, I guess, 800.
And how we were talking about the solopreneur versus business owner, you have to be a business owner to be able to even start looking at that stuff.
Yeah.
Because you have to have the machine running.
All right.
And that's the thing. You can be at a 400 level, but that's going to take you to a whole other ball game. You've had to build this machine to get there.
Absolutely.
Right. To be able to have the mental capacity and have employees to have the mental bandwidth to look at that and say, maybe we can do that.
Yeah. Now it's ground up too. We have a couple of lots here in town that we're looking at, like 4 or 5 acre lots that we're thinking doing semi-custom tracks. So like maybe, on 4 acres, we could probably build 10 to 12 semi-custom single-story ranch-style homes, probably be into them for $1.5 million built, something like that. Sell them for $2.5 to $3 million.
So even those could go, $500,000 to $1 million a home
profit. So that's something that we really want to do. We have so many guys in another mastermind we're in talking about that, and it's like they're saying they've done all types of deals as well, and that's the easiest type of deal that they're doing right now.
So how do you guys manage kind of the shiny object syndrome with everything you have going on? How do you guys? I'm the same way. I'm like, I want to do this and this and this and that.
Yeah.
And that guy's really good at that. I think I can do that. How do you guys? I ask every person this.
Honestly, we need to get better at it. But even the Boeckle Brothers Academy, that's another shiny object where, we could take all this, package it up, compartmentalize it, and start, selling it and giving value back to other people. That had been on our minds for
a long time,
many months before it
That's
really
fun.
started.
And it is fun. It's fun to give back and educate and network with people.
Totally. But Ness, that's something that we honestly need to get better at. We need to take more time to sit down and go, okay, there are 10 things we want to do. Mm-hmm. Let's pick these 2. Let's sideline those other ones. Just not forever, but for a little while we focus on these.
It's so hard.
Get these done.
Yeah.
I know.
And I have people, I think one of the biggest examples is like not dumping a ton of money into crypto and NFTs right now when everyone else is, that's kind of the shiny object right now is
I did that.
Everyone's dumping it.
I mean, I'm in it.
We're in it, and I guess
I'm not going to miss it.
We're in it kind of heavy, but it's not a focus of ours. I want, we have goals in real estate that we have to accomplish and have to achieve before we could really go heavy into other stuff.
I feel like everyone in real estate, you kind of get there and you're like, I'm really good at real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Stay in our lane. That's what we're trying to do is stay in our lane.
Expand it a little.
Expand it. Keep growing. Always growing. Never satisfied. And just taking it a day at a time. Trying to just handle, putting out fires every day and trying to move things forward every day.
That's the only way you can do it.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's awesome having you here.
Yeah,
I think we see you what you're doing and kind of wish I had done that at like your age.
Don't start a call center.
I'm not gonna start a call center. I just mean having that like hunger, that drive, going after it, making it happen at that age.
It's doable.
It's doable for anyone.
I think if you're in Vegas or a different market, like go to guys like these guys and pay. You can find a way to come up with the money and you'll advance. It's so much more. If I could go back and like the value of a education in some kind of entrepreneurial space like real estate is way more than you're going to get with the full.
And what I love about the space is I know that everybody says it, but truly the reason they say it is because it's real. One deal is going to pay for that.
One deal changes your life.
It changes your life.
It breaks your brain and you look at life and you go, I can create my income.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the greatest thing about real estate is it's limitless possibilities. There's literally not a cap on it. And you don't have to be any age. You don't have to have any sort of experience or knowledge to hit it big and just make it happen. It's about personal focus, personal motivation, and really just, taking a leap of faith.
I was going to say the same thing. It's not, you're never going to feel like you're there.
No.
So it's taking that leap. Yep. I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. Or if you guys want to learn more about Call Magic Leads, we will tie a link in below. Cole is the man. These guys are great. We have a lot of success with them, and we're going to do a lot of deals with them. And you should check them out yourself.
Yeah, very excited. We may even do something like maybe 6 months, a year from now, once we're just like absolutely kicking ass and we have 15 callers with you guys.
20.
We'll bring you back on 20, and we'll tell you about how it's going and what we're turning over. That'll be sweet.
Thanks for having me on, fellas.
Of course.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks to you as well. If you guys want to learn from us personally, check out theboecklebrothersacademy.com. And until then, we'll see you on the flip side.